American wheels started rolling through the cities of France, rolling east towards Berlin. This is the Red Ball Express. This one-way highway is a revolution in the science of military supply.
I live in Independence, Ohio, a little town south of Cleveland. I lived in Independence all my life. Been there before and after, right. When I went in, 18 years old, right out of high school. And so I was one of the young guys, and that's why I'm one of the young guys here, because I was 18 when I went in. I was drafted. I went in, as soon as I got out of high school, bingo. I thought about different branches, and I thought, well, you know, I kind of like terrestrial. I'm a hunter. I like the ground. I don't know about the air, the water, so I think I'll just try my luck at that. Well, the training I had was, when I went in there, I got interviewed, and in the interview, the captain was asking different things, and one of them was, what are your hobbies? And I said, I really don't have any hobbies. I didn't collect stamps, and I didn't make model airplanes. I like to fish, I like to hunt. And as soon as I said hunt, his eyes lit up. Oh, you like to hunt? Yeah. What do you hunt? Well, you know, I just did rabbits and small game. Well, okay, fine, stamp, infantry. And that's where I went into. I went into an infantry replacement division. It was called the 97th Division, but actually it was just training to give you 12 weeks of training. You go overseas, and you're replacing a guy who got killed or wounded. And we found out that the casualty rate for an infantry replacement at that time, and I guess throughout the war, was 75% wounded or killed. So not good odds, not a good place to be. We got a week's furlough, and we came back for advanced training, and it looks like it was going overseas. And very briefly, what happened was I was selected to get into the Army Specialized Training Program. Just before we were ready to ship out, 6 of us from my company said, you know, you pack up your gear, report to battalion headquarters, and you're gone. Why? We didn't even know. So finally, we were driving up there in a truck, and we look up above, and here's Texas A&M University. Wow, what are we doing in Texas A&M University? And then they said, well, you're in the ASTP, Army Specialized Training Program. And we thought, oh yeah, bomb disposal, some highly risky thing here. Well, it wasn't. And somebody got the bright idea that if the war went on any length of time, and since males were mostly in the sciences and in medicine and in everything else, that there'd be a big gap in there when there'd be nobody graduating from college in these areas, because they were taking every physically able man they could. So we're going to send you to college, and we're going to have you take tests here for 2 weeks to find out whether you qualify. Well, we got that far, but if we qualify and what's going to happen and where you'll go, well, the long story short of it was, by some miracle, I passed. I didn't even take college prep courses in high school, because nobody ever went to college in my family. So the way we go, and put the list up, and wham, I'm on the list to go for engineering. Went to the University of Syracuse, 250 guys on a campus with 3,000 girls and no other guys. You know, is that heaven on earth or what? Except that if you didn't have a 2.6 at the end of the quarter, it's back to the infantry, and that's a motivation that overrides the girl part of it. So we were there 3 months, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, I passed that one, and they transferred us to the University of Illinois. So we were there for 3 months, and the program ended. Ended because they needed more bodies, and 2, they were getting besieged with complaints from mothers, fathers, husbands, brothers. How come my son's overseas getting shot at, and this kid is going to college? And we were in regular classes. So the program ended up, and we go back to where we were. You know, well, you were infantry. And we load up on a train, and we're going and going for 2 days, and we're out in the Mojave Desert, just outside of Yuma Desert, and the train stops right out there in the middle of nowhere, and we thought, well, there's an accident, something's wrong with the train. Why are we stopping out here? Well, we stopped out there, and the next thing you know, coming alongside of us, lining up those 6x trucks, a whole big row of them. And they said, get out, here's where you're getting out, boys, jump on those trucks. Well, the guys, these were the old 104th guys that had been training in the Mojave Desert, and they were whipped. You could see, they looked like Willie and Joe from the old cartoon thing, and they were riding in there, and we're coming off there. ASTP was very loose. We all bleached our field jackets. We had white field jackets, and we had officers' shirts and everything. Some guys had tennis rackets strapped to the side of their barracks bags, and these guys are sitting out there. What the heck? Who are these guys? Well, that's how we joined the 104th. And we spent a few weeks in the desert, and then we came here to Camp Carson for advanced training. And that's how we ended up going overseas. And I was in a heavy weapons company, and I did my basic training in a heavy weapons company, which is 81 mortars and the machine gun, 30 caliber water-cooled machine guns. And so I was a machine gunner, so when I went over to the 104th, I was a machine gunner. So that's how I got over there and got in combat right away as soon as the division was in there. But my story, my favorite story is, I guess we were in combat probably, well, we started late in October. This was in November, at the middle of November. And we were replacing the 1st Division at the Siegfried Line. Now, the Siegfried Line was very similar to the emplacements, gun emplacements at Normandy. Big bunkers, 3 stories deep, pillboxes going out, trenches going over. And the Siegfried Line was Hitler's last line of defense before the Rhine River. And they had built those years ago, and up on top this big hill, big valley down below. And the 1st Division had tried for 2 weeks to take that hill, and they couldn't. And they were pulled out, and we were going in there to replace them. And we're going, man, if the 1st Division can't take that hill, how are we ever going to do this? Well, okay, so we line up there, and it was on November 15th. I'll never forget, because that was the beginning of hunting season in Ohio. I thought was very appropriate. And so I think it was the 2nd Battalion from the 414th was going up that hill, and it was a long hill up and just pockmarked with craters. So before the attack, the machine guns, we were set up on a hill on the other side, and we were going to fire overhead fire, so that kind of pin them down. So we had our 4 guns up there, and we're blazing away, and those attack bombers are dropping those bombs, and those bombs were kind of ricocheting right off of those bunkers. And boy, I don't know about that, but they just blasted, and artillery blasted it. Okay, they're going up. They started up. They got about halfway up, and they couldn't go any further. They were getting beat. They had to withdraw, so they came back down. All right, the next day, now the 3rd Battalion is going to try this. That's us. So, okay, and a machine gunner, a 30 caliber, is not an offensive weapon. We're a defense, but we still go along. So as soon as we get there, we set up a defense in case they counterattack. So we're going up the hill. And the same thing, they bombed it and bombed it and bombed it and everything else. So we're going up the hill, and I got that 54-pound tripod draped over my shoulders because I'm a 1st gunner. And our squad leader, for whatever reason, and I never figured it out, and he never did, instead of going straight up, just right into the teeth of those bunkers and everything else, we went up at a 45-degree angle. And we were going shell hole to shell hole to shell, because everything else was mined, and they were shooting down at us. And we just kept going and going, and by golly, we finally got way down at the flank end of that Stolberg Hill, and we got up on top the hill, and all of a sudden there's no more shooting. It's quiet, you know. What's going on up here? Here we are. There are 5 guys. 5 of us got up that hill somehow. Here we are. The machine gun, we didn't even have set up. We just had it sitting there because what's going on? So we sat there a while, and we thought, well, evidently the attack is called off because there are no other GIs up there. We're looking around. You know, we're the only 5 guys on top of this hill. There was a big Tiger tank sitting up there that had been knocked out, but they used it as a pillbox. And there were 2 dead Germans in there. They didn't even take those dead guys out of there. They were bad, bad. But they were up, but they used it as a regular pillbox. But they had dug out underneath there between the treads, and that's where they could hide when they were bombing up there, because they had that protection of the tank. So we figured, you know, something's going to happen when they realized that they were called off, that we're going to be caught up here. 5 guys are going to be sitting on this hill. Let's get under that tank. So we all crawl underneath that tank And we were underneath there probably, I guess, I'm guessing now, maybe 2 hours. And we're all kind of one right behind the other one, and I'm the last guy in. Don't ask me why, but I'm the last guy in. Finally, our squad leader, it was our section leader, he said, hey, Gaab, go on out there and take a look around. See what's going on out there. I'm the last guy. And I said, well, okay, give me your rifle. All I care, because my weapon was a .45, and I couldn't hit that wall with a .45. So I said, give me your rifle. So they passed his M1 up, and I crawled out there and went maybe about, maybe 30, 40 feet from the tank. And there was a line of, they could have been rabbit hutches or chicken hutches, but they're about 4 or 5 feet off the ground, empty, and everything up there was blasted off, of course. So I'm out there looking around. I don't see anybody. I'm looking around, and dead ahead is a pillbox, probably, I'm guessing, 350, 400 feet away, maybe 300 feet away. As I'm looking at that pillbox, here's a body coming up the back side of that pillbox, just inching his way up. And I'm thinking, is that one? And it was a silhouette. The sun was on the other side. And is that one of our guys, or is that a German, or who is that thing? And of course, that helmet, boy, he had that helmet on there. And then when he got up on top, he's lying down up there, and he's got binoculars looking down. And I figured, well, that can't be one of our guys with binoculars looking down. This has got to be a German. So I had the old M1, and I made expert in the M1, and I was leaning it right on top of that hutch, so there was no way to miss. And I shot him. And when I shot him, he just bounced up down, and he slid back down that pillbox. And then I got really scared, because I thought, what if that was one of our guys? You know, geez, oh God, what was? And I'm really going through a panic attack. And the next thing I know, I look to my left, and coming out the back of that bunker in a trench, and all I could see were the shoulders and heads of German soldiers coming out of there. And I mean, they are coming out. So I still got 7 more shots in that thing. So I leveled around there, and I couldn't aim at it because they were just flying by. I'd aim across the top, and I shot 7 times. And every time I'd shoot, the heads would all go down. And then within 3, 4 seconds, they'd be up again. As I banged, down they'd go. So I don't know if I hit anybody or not, but I think I scared the hell out of them anyhow. Well, anyhow, that was the end of it. So I came back, and my sergeant says, "What the hell are you shooting at? You know, what are you shooting at?" And I told them, and they said, "Oh, well, we're dead meat," because once they realize that it's just one guy shooting, they're going to come right back up at us. And I said, "Well, that's what happened." So nothing happened except they brought, it must have been a Tiger tank or a tank down there, and they put 2 rounds into that tank. We're underneath it, and they banged it off the turret there. Didn't phase us. It just scared the heck out of us, but didn't phase it, and that's it. Nobody came up here. So we said, well, let's wait till dark, and we'll come back down. So it got dark, and we came back down, and then we damn near got hit by our own guys, because we're crawling down the hill, and they think we're Germans, and we don't know the password. What's the password? What's the password? We were up on that hill all day. And, oh, yeah, sure, yeah. Lou Gehrig, you know, Babe Ruth, blah, 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 blah. Okay, come on in, one at a time. So we came in one at a time, and they took us in. Okay, shorten the story up a little bit. When we got back together again the next day, we said, you know, should we tell them that there's nobody up on that hill? We chased those Germans out of there, and you know, they don't have to worry. And then we said, no, because what if they came back in at night, and we tell them, don't worry, there's nobody up there. We were the only guys up there, and they're all gone. And they go up there, and they're back in, and they get slaughtered again. So we said, let's just not tell anybody. And it was, you know, people would say, well, didn't anybody ask where you were? Well, guys would get lost and so forth, and it was just like, where were you guys? Well, we were up on the hill. Oh, yeah, okay. Nobody, our platoon leader, our lieutenant, didn't even know that we were up there, and we never told him. We never told anybody. But the next day, they launched another attack, and they went up there, and there wasn't a shot fired. The hill was empty. 5 guys took care of that hill when the first division couldn't do it in 2 weeks, and we couldn't do it. And that was, for us, we were just, you know, we thought that was pretty neat. But nobody ever got any kind of a medal of any kind. We never got a thank you. Nobody ever, you know, officers, our company commander never said, yeah, that's pretty good for you guys up there. It was just like, where were you guys? Well, we were up on that hill, and then we got caught up there, and we came back down. Okay, that's the way war is, and that's the way that thing ended. But in the history book, and in the article I wrote for that 104th story, I said that history recorded that that hill was taken the next day, which would have been the 17th. Actually, that hill was taken on the 16th by 5 guys. And that's Stolberg Hill 287. I'll never forget that in my life. I can't remember my phone number sometimes, but I can remember every detail of that. And that's about it.
That's your story.
Yep.